Hey YouTube, Untamed here. Figured it's been about a week and a half since I provided you guys with my last video. So I figured it's about time for me to give you an honest review of owning this 2020 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. I bought it about 2.5 months ago, as many of you know, saw my video, original video of it, introducing it. But I figured it's time to kind of talk through the good and bad of it. And I say bad loosely because it's been awesome, okay? So let me preface it with that. But I'll kind of walk you through my experience with it so far. So I'll knock out the most obvious one right from the beginning. Poor fuel economy. So that is a real thing, and I know that's no shocker to anybody who knows this truck at all. But this 5.7 liter V8 definitely is thirsty. So I think I've been averaging realistically right around 13, 14 with the tailwind, I suppose. I think that, the bigger tires probably didn't help, of course, but definitely worth it. Realistically and honestly, and I find this kind of odd, I've gotten a lot more compliments, a lot more people saying, wow, awesome truck, and a lot more people just kind of give me a thumbs up with the Tundra here, more than the Raptor, which I kind of find that odd, just because the Raptor is, like I mentioned before, like the quote-unquote ultimate truck that everybody kind of geeks out about. There's a million videos of people jumping them, and they're the ultimate truck, right? But no, surprisingly, I feel like 1 out of every 3 times I go to a gas station, whoever's behind me or near me, they'll pop over and make it a point to say, hey, nice truck, really love the color. And I think obviously a lot of that is the color, not so much the truck per se, because you see Tundras everywhere. But yeah, that's one thing I was surprised about, of how many people really geek out about it and go out of their way to compliment it. So that's pretty cool. I'm not one to totally thrive on all that stuff, but it is nice to see people appreciate the truck for what it is and all that. What do I miss about the Raptor? I won't dive too much into that, but I do miss the body flares, of course, that the Raptor had. Miss the suspension on the Raptor a little bit more. I think that was noticeably better. Just pulling it out of places. I mean, it absorbed every bump like so well. Not that this doesn't. I'm just comparing that to it. And I'm still kind of a young cat myself, so the whole extreme body flares and fender flares and all that, it does appeal to me. Whereas obviously this one, not too much fender there. And if you guys follow my channel closely, I even posted a picture of the truck asking, hey, should I get those tack-on flares that kind of go right here, right? And the overwhelming majority of you said, do not do that. It makes the truck look corny. So I'm not doing that at all. What else? Overall, I'm really happy with the way these tires have been handling the snow. Here in Wyoming, well, Exhibit A, right? We are no stranger to snow, and there's been quite a bit of it this winter so far. And these Nitto Ridge grapplers have been doing a phenomenal job in it. Give you guys a close look at that. So I'm just gonna say, even though I have another separate video talking about these, I'll still say it because it tends to be the #1 question. What size are they? They are 295, 70, 18s. So these are the stock BBSs, forged BBSs that come on the Pros. But they have been amazing in the snow. Admittedly, no off-roading yet. Nothing extreme or nothing to really showcase or report to you guys on. But hopefully that won't be the case for too much longer, really. So what did we already talk about? I talked about the poor fuel economy. I have actually grown pretty accustomed to the simplicity of this Tundra here. The interior is pretty sparse. The platform itself is extremely dated. We're talking not too far off from that 2007 model, 2008 model, right? So it's not too far off from that from really in any regard. Obviously the Pro has a few upgrades, has the upgraded suspension. It does come factory with I think it's a 2-inch lift and a leveling kit. So when I actually put on these tires, I didn't have to do any additional suspension work to make it fit perfectly. I know that tends to be a question too. So like I mentioned, I've really grown to appreciate the simplicity of it. you know, less gadgets, less technology, less problems, less issues that I'll likely bump into. So I really appreciate that. With the comments that I'm reading, it sounds like there are a ton of testimonies and experiences out there with, you know, Ford F-150s, with Dodge, you know, their Ram Rebels and all that, the Silverado 1500s. There are a lot of stories out there where people did not get that reliability that they got with their Tundra, the same reliability that they end up getting with their Tundra. You know, a lot of people are just saying, yeah, I was constantly in the shop. Of course, I'm sure it is maybe exaggerated a little bit, but I do admit it is a little refreshing to hear all of the outstanding experiences people have had with their Tundras here, their Toyotas at large. So a lot of people, if you kind of scroll through the comments of my other videos, you see a bunch of people just commenting like, yeah, and I haven't had to change anything in over 250,000 miles, you know, or I've only done normal maintenance and maybe fixed one thing over, you know, 250,000, 300,000 miles. So that is super, super reassuring to hear that. And that in itself makes my decision here, you know, the good decision in my opinion. So I appreciate you guys kind of coming up on mic and explaining your stories. It definitely kind of puts my mind at ease a little bit. We'll jump into the garage here. I will show you the Shelby and Subi. We had a couple nice days about a week ago. By nice days, I mean 45 degrees and no wind. It allowed me to actually wash both of the cars. Almost forgot what they look like when they're clean. Still have a little bit of the gap issue here. I just need to tackle that one more time. Hopefully fix that with the carbon fiber trunk here. But yeah, I forgot what they look like when they're all shined up. Especially the Shelby. The Shelby was, part of my soul was hurting a little bit because I felt like I was neglecting it pretty hard over the winter, because obviously I didn't want to pull it out, try to wash it while it was just super cold out, and you know, it's just not ideal. I know a lot of people talk about getting the, you know, those car covers, the tight car covers, but I just seen one too many photos of people using them and then taking them off a few months later and just having a bunch of paint swirls underneath. So that's the reason why I did not decide to do that myself. Any rate, I figured I'd show you that. I have a confession too, by the way. So I didn't totally get rid of the Raptor game from the family here, so share that with you. This is what my daughter rips around on. She and my son. My son's just now old enough to where he can ride in it with her, so it's always a sight to see that. But so we still have a Raptor. Still have a Raptor in the house. But at any rate, I will wrap up with perhaps a needless comment here for most of you watching this. But yeah, I do get a lot of people, you know, asking, "Hey, what do you do for a living? What do you do for a living to, you know, to have these vehicles? I mean, or you must be super in debt to have these vehicles," and that's absolutely not the case. So my advice to you guys, or for, you know, especially the younger kiddos watching, you know, I mean, I'm not too old myself, but when I was younger, I always watched videos of people walking around their cars and, you know, showing off their cars and all that. And I was of the mindset of, you know, your success is measured off of the car you drive, and that was a key indicator of how successful you were. And that could not be further from the truth. I know you guys don't need to hear that from me, but you know, what you do with your life, your decisions you make, and how you treat people, that is obviously the more important thing for what it's worth. And my advice to you, if you do want to have a really cool car, really nice stuff, you know, invest in yourself before you invest in cars. And I know that's a cliche thing to say, but in my personal opinion and experience, you know, if you invest in yourself, you don't have to go to college. I get it. There's other avenues for you to be successful and, broaden your horizons. But for me, it was college. I invested in myself in that regard, and buckled down and did my best in college, and unfortunately, it kind of worked out well for me. So, invest in yourself before you invest in toys. And if you do invest in yourself, this stuff just kind of comes secondhand. It'll be a byproduct of that. So, again, probably a needless thing to tell most of you, but figured I'd share that for the few younger kiddos watching this. But at any rate, I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if you have any questions, as always. Thanks.